Innovating for People, Handbook of Human-Centered Design Methods by the Luma Institute. I recently had a conversation with a colleague about how great it was to take advantage of the ability to create a program to address a change, and how sometimes during all of our thinking, decision fatigue comes in, and we just want to be told what to do. This book gives lots of examples of specifically what to do. Donella Meadows says we must see the system as the source of its own problems and find the courage and wisdom to restructure it. There are 36 methods in this book in support of creative solutions to be used across platforms and industries. There are many examples of what other methods could work alongside and in support of the initial idea. These methods are broken up into 3 areas: looking, understanding, and making. I have chosen a couple of methods in each area as they apply to my current role in the field of social services. I will share how they expand on other concepts illustrated throughout the semester, while also considering how my own perceptions have shifted or have been reaffirmed in my work of systems and design. These methods are for observing the human experience. They are ways to step back to gather information about those working amongst the current conditions. Within each area, they break down the methods even further: ethnographic research, participatory research, and evaluative research. 2 methods in the first category caught my attention. Fly-on-the-wall observation is exactly as it implies. The idea is to observe without getting in the way. The book explains when we are left to our own devices, people are likely to say or do things that they are unaware of. It is important to be an objective observer, allowing for the situation to be considered from multiple points of view. I enjoy observing people in the space they have built, using the routines they have created. Meadows states, before you disturb the system in any way, watch how it behaves. Remaining objective, I can see solutions which may escape the participant just because they are in the thick of it. David Dunn says, design thinkers consult users, but not by simply asking them what they want. They look for problems that we take for granted, assume to be insolvable, or just fail to notice. I must understand the context first, and this method builds on others' perspectives. A challenge I have come across is people who like to put on a show. Often, the solution to a problem lays within best practices. When we are not using best practice and are resorting to the easy way out, it is no wonder problems arise. If I am unable to observe the natural and usual behavior, I cannot see where the real challenges begin. The other method I recognized as a great tool, especially as a leader, is walk-a-mile immersion. The book says you can use that experience to better inform your decision making. In terms of the long game, this is why I think it's important to work in all areas of whatever industry you may be leading. How can you properly supervise or give advice when you have no idea what's going on or what it takes to complete the task? Walk-a-mile immersion means committing to the activity, to fully envelop yourself in the task, to gain empathy for those who do the job every day. For organizational leaders, empathy is so important. The field of education is challenged by this constantly. Bowman and Deal say for non-experts, fast, intuitive thinking often leads to very bad judgments. And when managers don't see options, they make mistakes, but often fail to understand why. When you have administration challenging the everyday actions of teachers without proper context, you not only create resentment among staff, but you can also create a dangerous atmosphere. These methods allow leadership the chance to gain perspective. This will help with creating necessary changes for the benefit of all. In the second part of the book, methods are presented for analyzing challenges and opportunities. Where the first part of the book concentrates on objective points of view, here the focus is on looking at patterns and choosing priorities. They break down the methods into the following categories of understanding: people and systems, patterns and priorities, problem framing. This area introduced several methods I had not considered and am excited to implement. The first one is stakeholder mapping, under the area of people and systems. Who are all the players to be considered? Although there are obvious ones, others may not as easily present themselves, but are no less important. The book says that the people served by your design will be thoughtfully considered throughout the design effort. This method ensures no one will be left out of the picture. David Dunn says if design thinkers failed to pay attention to the other users of their ideas, the people who had to implement them, often at the cost of huge disruption in their own lives, the ideas could drift far from their original goals, lose momentum, or grind to an ignominious halt. For example, I work with children and families. They are central to the mission and goals of the organization I work for, but my staff are stakeholders as well. Every decision I make for children and families needs to consider the staff. They are doing the real work. The other method I'm excited to implement is problem tree analysis, presented under problem framing. If you study the root of a problem and recognize its branching effects, you set the conditions for effectively framing the issues and finding meaningful solutions. It starts with recognizing the central problem, which is represented as the trunk of the tree. The team begins to explore the reason for the problems, the roots, and then the effects of the problem, the branches. Sometimes problems can be difficult to fully comprehend, and this method untangles those problems, allowing the team to focus on smaller pieces. Dunn says wicked problems are chronic, beyond complex, with no clear boundaries or solutions. One of those wicked problems currently plaguing many industries is staffing. What's going on? How can we begin to make changes? I plan on implementing this method at our next staff meeting to get others to present what they think the reasons may be, and will give both sides the ability to gain a greater perspective. Bowman and Deal explain people give their best efforts and fullest cooperation simply because they have been ordered to do so. They accept direction better when they perceive the people in authority as credible, competent, and sensible. This method not only sets a foundation for better understanding, but it can also help with creative buy-in when done effectively. I believe this is a great way for designers to begin facilitating organizational learning alongside other methods presented in this book. The final area in the book focuses on methods to envision future possibilities. Designing starts with learning, continues with understanding, and now we need to take action. The different categories include concept ideation, modeling and prototyping, and design rationale. Alternative Worlds from the area of concept ideation presents an interesting method to think outside the box. The book explains new concepts are rarely wholly original. Borrowing and adapting effectively is the secret of good designers. I always told those around me to use your resources. The saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, comes to mind, but only in the sense it could possibly be built upon to make it even more effective. This method puts people in the shoes of someone else to fix the problem. For example, in education, you would ask people to consider what the restaurant industry would do to fix the problem. I can personally speak to many ideas which have come from many industries that have helped me in the world of social services. Says boundaries are of our own making and that they can and should be reconsidered for each new discussion, problem, or purpose. No one should be excluded when trying to solve a problem. A concept poster in the area of design rationale is another great tool which I think is helpful in gathering support. The book explains your poster should show what the idea is, why it matters, and how it works, because ultimately you want to influence people to embrace your concept by communicating what makes an appropriate solution. The method involves bringing people in to break down the new idea, show how it'll work and what it is, and to highlight the benefits. Unfortunate, it is a fact of life that sometimes those with the money hold power. This is the political climate organizations eventually all must work within. Bowman and Deal explain at every level in organizations, alliances form because members have interest in common and believe they can do more together than apart. To accomplish their aims, they need power. Working in nonprofit, it is imperative I educate and inform funders to illustrate value in investing in a new idea. A concept poster brings everything to the table in support of what has been created. There is a lot of work which goes into creating and ultimately implementing the next great concept. But all that work is for naught if you cannot adequately share your ideas in a way to inspire others. Although the meat and potatoes fall in the other areas of the book, the making area displays the picture to the world, which is often an overlooked aspect of design. Although many of the methods presented in this book would not and could not apply to the work I do, the concepts behind them apply to all organizations. Design never stops with initial ideas, but rather morphs and changes over time to best suit the needs of whatever problem is out there to be solved. Revisiting even the most well played out plans for areas of improvement should always be part of ongoing operations.